I'm Javon.
And I'm Calvin. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, or just ladies. Anywho, how was your week?
Long. How was yours?
Cool.
Okay. We went to watch wrestling yesterday.
Oh god, Ebony Shock won by default because some dude who had I don't even know his storyline. He
Neon.
didn't make it out. It was supposed to be a 3-way match. One of the guys,
Zion?
no, it's Unga Bunga. Oh,
No, I think his name is Zion.
Zion or something, was supposedly in a
They said he was in a comatose state.
comatose state or whatever.
So then it was only a one-on-one. Neon versus Elliot Shock.
And Neon,
And Elliot Shock won by mistake.
yes, I still booed.
Honestly, in terms
don't
of
care.
like storytelling, that was a pretty good way for him to keep the belt. It was pretty funny.
Don't give them more ideas.
No one told you to make a deal with him that you would stand up and cheer for him if he won.
I still didn't, so I still won.
Not really.
Whatever, it sucked. And then all of a sudden, whatever that dude name came out during the women's match, which I guess they needed filler because they were trying to break in a new, I guess, wrestler now.
Yeah, it was a debut for Daddy. She was hot. I liked her.
Okay.
And Mother. It was Daddy versus Mother. Get it? Get it? Daddy versus Mother. Get it?
Yeah. Anywho.
Mother, you know what? I'm going to give Mother some credit, though. Like, she really brought a lot of stage presence.
Yeah, she's good. I think she just needs to be in the ring with somebody who can match her ringmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a debut. Everybody's got to have at least a first try. So, it wasn't a bad debut, in my opinion. I thought they did okay. There was a lot of time there where they were doing a lot of talking. You're like, okay, where are we going with this?
This one kid is like, he hates talking. I think that kid gets bullied in school.
He takes it out on the wrestler.
Yes, I think he gets bullied in school
Eh,
because he gets all his words in.
true.
But
True. Or maybe he's just comfortable. Clearly, he's been going there like this whole time.
yeah. Anywho, that being said, it's time for the news. You know, it's That Happened with Joe. Scooter bop bop boom boom boom.
All right, so then that happened with Joe. We finally got the name to the shooter, allegedly, for the United Healthcare shooter. His name is Luigi. He's from Townsend, Maryland.
Mario. Whatever.
He went to an
Definitely
Ivy
nothing.
League school.
Good for him.
He was a Trump supporter.
Good for him.
And he also suffered from like this, unfortunately, this chronic back condition that left him in like a lot of pain. So people are trying to tie his experiences probably with dealing with the American healthcare system and his frustration with that leading to what went down. He also worked at a like a senior care facility as well. So that'd be more like firsthand accounting of seeing how this our medical system works, which it doesn't. So
Well, that's his fault.
there's that.
That's kind of his fault. He votes for it to be that way.
He just became, wait, how old is he? I want to say 23, 26, 23. He hasn't been able to vote for a while. So,
Well, the way he voted the one time he can vote
uh-huh.
is the reason it's in that predicament.
Okay. The one time?
Yeah.
Even under Biden, our healthcare system wasn't better. We can blaming it on somebody else, but our healthcare system has sucked under both parties. So, anyway.
Because they keep voting against people who want to fix it.
Okay. But even when we have people in place that quote unquote want to fix it, they don't.
Because they don't have the votes.
They do.
That's neither here nor there.
But they also make money.
Yes.
This is all about money.
Yeah, but a lot of them, some of them who want to change it can't get the votes.
I think it's very naive of you to think only one party is interested in fixing the healthcare system and not the other party.
I never said that. But
that is your implication.
let's be
You're
honest.
saying because he's a Trump supporter.
But let's be honest. There is one party who really doesn't wants to keep it status quo. They might have some people who want to fix it.
I think it's a difference between one party saying the quiet part out loud and the other party that doesn't. That's,
Sure.
in my opinion, that's what it is.
Sure.
You've got one party that will say that quiet part out loud, and then you have another party that's like, well, maybe, but but they also don't do anything to effectively change anything.
And then as that same party tries to implement some stuff and it gets killed.
So your implication is one party cares and one party doesn't,
I think,
and I don't think that's true.
I don't think neither party cares enough.
Hmm. Either way, point is, we found out his name, his alleged name. It might not be him. There's still a lot of conspiracy theories out there in the air because it is very weird that he got caught at a McDonald's with all this stuff on him. Very strange. Some people are saying that that's not even the same guy in the photos. So there's that, and that the police just need something, and that's what they're going with. I hope that's not what's happening. The lady that narked on him, she had to leave her job from McDonald's. Some people are saying she got fired. Other people are saying that she quit because of harassment, because people found out which McDonald's that was, and have been harassing it nonstop. She also did not get the money. She did all of that to not get the money for tipping him in because she didn't call the tip line. She called the cops directly. That's hilarious. And so America. So that's happening. Jay-Z got indicted in the Diddy lawsuit, allegedly also engaging in sexual acts with a minor, harassment and assault. But now the person that dropped all that stuff against him is taking it back. So I don't know what that means exactly, but okay. Also, Jay-Z decided to take some legal action against Jaguar Wright, who has been saying that Jay-Z is an accomplice to Diddy. And now all of a sudden, Jaguar Wright's also changing her story. So it's very interesting times going on with that.
Everybody can say what they want to say until them dollar signs hit them in the face.
So here's my thing. The recanting is interesting, that they're taking their words back. The act of recanting is interesting because Jaguar Wright swore down all this stuff about Jay-Z. She had all these things to say about Jay-Z, swore it down. And now where he's like, well, put your money where your mouth is. Let's take it to court. She's like, just kidding. No.
Because
I never said those things.
Because it's easy. You have to get clout or to get likes. You got to talk about somebody that people want to believe is dirty, or in the Illuminati doing all this evil stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So who better than Jay-Z? If she, you know what I'm saying? If she had said Nas or Outkast, no one would probably really care.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's innocent, but I find it funny that the whole time he wasn't suing, she was like, whatever. Now all of a sudden, I think the reason he's suing is because now they're trying to tie him with something, and somebody's actually going down.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's what it is.
Okay.
I think if Diddy was still out, Harlem shaking around, I don't think he'd be suing Jaguar. I don't think he'd care.
Uh-huh.
But the fact Diddy's in jail and all this stuff is going down, I think he's like, okay, y'all just trying to find dirt on everybody for some, nah.
So in my very biased opinion, I don't think it's hard to find dirt on people.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jay-Z also has his own stories about treating women a certain way. I mean, I remember how he used to talk about them in his music. He's cheated on Beyonce.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out that doesn't put him in the best light. I wouldn't be surprised about that. But the fact that it's being recanted is interesting.
Because
that part's interesting to me.
They either don't know or we're lying.
Mm-hmm.
That's only two things. But just because somebody says something in the record, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Them motherfuckers lie about 99% of stuff they do on the record anyway.
I don't know, because so the Jay-Z stuff that's happening right now, that's how the Diddy stuff started. It was people saying stuff about Diddy and nobody believing him. And some people going quiet, like taking their stuff back because they didn't want to deal with the harassment from everybody else. Now that it's become an FBI situation, Now people are like, oh, maybe we should have believed them. Maybe we should have believed
I
them.
think no. I think the Diddy thing was different.
I don't know.
I think people believed. They just were scared to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that, but I think people believed.
I don't know, because if even if they did believe, they didn't do anything about it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like there was no action.
that's what happens most of the time. No,
Yeah.
nobody does anything.
Well, that's what I mean, that I find it's because, so the other thing about the Jay-Z thing is, with when all that stuff on the allegations came out that he might be associated with the Diddy stuff, he put out his own like press release, and it wasn't a great press release. It gave the vibe of like, people are trying to bring up old things and I've moved past them. Like it didn't give the vibe of like, I've never done this in my life. It gave the vibe of like, I used to. It's been ages. I haven't done it since, kind of vibe, without like actually admitting to it. Then it gets taken down. Then his lawyers come out with their own statement and stipulations that they took to the court, where they were like, if somebody's going to come against Jay-Z and say that he did something, they have to fully identify themselves. They have to fully identify themselves, put their name out there, put like all this personal information out there if they're going to come for Jay-Z like that. And if you are trying to deter people from telling on you, that's how you go about it. You make their life so hard to be truthful about what happened to them that they don't even want to bother going through with it. So that, for me, that rubbed me the wrong way, that was the angle they took. Like if you wanted to squash it, which it worked, if you wanted to squash it for yourself, I mean, that's a tactic to absolutely use.
That's what
and he did.
Everybody with money does.
And now she's recanting.
I just think that's par for the course when you got money.
Okay.
I think everybody does it with money. Because there's nothing else you can really do.
Uh-huh.
Other than use your power and your especially in a day and age where people can just say anything and like really get money out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people saw what happened to Michael Jackson. Whether you believe it or not, a lot of people saw what happened to Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody ain't trying to be dancing on top of a car or spending money paying people off left and right.
Right.
So there's that. But at the end of the day, if they got some, it'll come out. At the end, that's pretty much what's going on.
Well, we'll find out, because this Diddy thing is just getting started. These wheels are just getting greased.
But like I said, you can find anything. Everybody went to those parties. Damn near.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talked about a Diddy party.
That's true. That's why people are like, well, because as soon as this trial starts, that's when the names are really going to start dropping, of like who was complicit, who helped, who engaged in this. Right now, there's a lot of talk around his closeness with Ashton Kutcher and that whole scenario. It's not good either. But Jamie Foxx, and then Jamie Foxx recently had his own special where he tried to like sober a lot of that. So it's not as fantastical, but there's also all of these old interviews that he's done, both on his own radio show. It's like Sirius. I think it's a Sirius podcast or something, or a radio show.
Yeah.
Both his stories in there, and how like they're kind of biting him in the butt now. So, but we'll find out, because that's still ongoing, and they're still not letting that
person out. If he was really doing something, why would he tell the stories?
Because you think you're untouchable. Parts of his stories is bringing in trans women for people to have fun with. Those trans women he was bringing in were prostitutes. He felt untouchable.
So, anyway.
And honestly, I can't fault them for thinking that, because up until very recently, the hammer finally came down to hold them accountable. So forever, for decades,
like I said,
they have been able to move the way they want to move without any repercussion.
Act like it's a hammer. Somebody got pissed off and decided.
Wouldn't that still be a hammer? Somebody getting pissed off and.
Well, yeah, you're right. Somebody decided it's time to go night.
Yeah, wouldn't that still be a hammer?
Yeah, you're right. I just said you're correct. You want me to say it again?
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, so that the other thing about that happened is I watched the Girls Gone Wild, the Untold Story documentary series that was on Peacock. In case you don't know what that is, it is Joe Francis's creation. It was a series called Girls Gone Wild. Back in the day, when we had to rely on 900 numbers and straight to DVD type stuff, there used to be these infomercials that came on late in the evening.
Before cell phones had cameras.
Yeah. Yep. Well, reliable cameras, I should say. You couldn't like
Before
videotape.
before cell phones had cameras.
No,
Well, not
cell phones
cameras.
had cameras, but they weren't good ones.
Recording.
Yeah.
They had video recording.
So it's like the late 90s, early 2000s when this is in its high popularity. And the way it's branded, it's like you can watch these girls. They're like the regular next door girls you go to school with type girls. Lift their shirt, show their boobs, and shake them a little bit. And it's a video of it. That's how it's branded and pushed out and marketed. And it takes off. He becomes hugely successful with this series. Joe Francis actually is interviewed in the docuseries, which is rare because he has exiled himself to Mexico. He actually has outstanding charges, or at least court somethings, from his 2011 situation where he imprisoned 3 women and assaulted one of them in his home for a duration of time.
Question.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't there another docuseries that touched on the girl going wild?
Viceland, they did a Girls Gone Wild, but it wasn't a biography of it at all. It was more like, this is what it used to be. This is what it is. It didn't include Joe Francis. It didn't have any interviews with Joe Francis directly. It just was an accounting of this thing that happened back in like the late 90s and how it fell apart. It's like the rise and fall of Girls Gone Wild.
Okay.
Versus this being the untold story. It's talking about more background around how it was raised, but its focus is on the employees, their perspectives, and Joe Francis's perspective, and then also the people that it hurt. The Viceland documentary does talk about some of the lawsuits that got brought up to Joe Francis and his series, but it also does not interview the actual people who were affected, and this one does. So Joe Francis in the mid 90s makes his first million doing trading business basically, and then he's looking for another way to make more money. He sees in the adult entertainment industry that there is something that's not being touched on, and that's getting your next door neighbor girl naked basically. So Girls Gone Wild gets born. He goes to New Orleans and sees how Mardi Gras goes, where you shake your boobs to get some beads, and he's like, how about we do that year round? Kicks off his business. They only go to places that are not near major cities. So they are mostly in West Virginia. They're in like Indiana and Ohio. And then randomly, last case scenario, they try to go to Florida. But going to Florida bites them in the butt. They get in major trouble going to Florida.
Why?
Because the sheriff down there, by the time they decide to go to Florida, they have already made their name touring around like do they call them no-fly states or the...
No-fly cities?
You know what? No, it's not no-fly cities. But you know what I mean. Flyover states. That's what it is. Flyover states. They've made their fortune going to the flyover states, and they decide to like try to go down to Florida. They don't want to hit the major cities, so they go to like I want to say Pensacola, where it's not where spring break usually is, but it's not in Miami.
Pensacola.
Yeah, so they go there.
Oh, Daytona.
No, they didn't go to Daytona. So
and Pensacola. Pensacola is a military town.
Well, that's probably why I bit them in the butt. So they go there to try to do their thing. And the sheriff immediately is like, absolutely not. No, not in my city. You're not doing this in my city. But also the people in that township also don't want him there. They're like, this is going to be terrible for us. It's already bad enough we got to deal with spring breakers. I don't want to deal with Joe Francis stuff at this point either. And then it comes out, the girls he pulled in the Pensacola visit, 3 of them are at least underage. And their mothers go to the sheriff's office to report Joe Francis for sexually exploiting their daughters, who are 16 and 17. It's 3 girls, 2 of them are 16, 1 is 17, definitely underage, which is enough for the Pensacola Sheriff's Office to get in touch with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, because now this is crossing the line into child pornography. I don't know how the FBI managed to do the raid when they did the raid. Clearly, they had been gathering stuff on this dude for a minute, Joe Francis, for a minute. because they're able to raid him while he's still in Pensacola. And when they raid his offices and get footage of all the videos that they have and all the girls he's got, so let's say he's got like 150 girls, 30 of those girls are underage, they discover. And that's just in the Pensacola location. This man has been all over the no-fly states. So Lord knows how long he's been doing this with underage girls at this point. We also find out what the vetting process is for Girls Gone Wild. And it's literally cameramen going, hey, you're 18, right? That's it. That's all it is. It's not them checking anything. It's not them getting documentation. You 18, right? Sure, sir. Yeah. We also find out, and I didn't know this because I hadn't actually watched a Girls Gone Wild video, but the boob thing, you barely see it, apparently. It kicks off the videotapes with the girls shaking their boobs before it turns into a hardcore porn. And it's girls on girls. And sometimes, no, I don't think it's ever a girl with a guy. It's always girls on girls. Which was not, given in any of the promotions, clearly, because they can't promote that. So their way around it was to be like, oh, this is a video about boobies. And it's actually a hardcore porn. Then we find out that the way that his employees were instructed to get the girls to do this was basically to like lie, cheat, steal, do whatever they had to get these girls to do what they needed to do. Fill them up with liquor, do it. Entrap them, trap them in locations where they can't get out until they do what you say. Do it. It's so heinous and immoral and crazy. And there's a point in there where they're talking to Joe Francis, and his whole take on it was that he was doing an honest business. He was doing an honest business, and all of a sudden the FBI had to get all up in his face because they had nothing else to do, according to him, and they made him a victim.
The man needed somebody to go down. See, there's a lot of things going on at that time. Basically. They needed a distraction.
There's a story in there from a girl who was on a boat trip with her friends. She's out of like Utah. They're at like a lake. Especially stories about she's hopped up on a Zima at this point. she's in the hot sun drinking Zimas. That's not a good mix.
First of all, what did she think was gonna happen? She's drinking Zima.
She didn't know what Girls Gone Wild was. Also, this is early in Girls Gone Wild build up. So they weren't like at first they were submissions. Did you know that? He didn't have like hired cameramen. They were submissions. People would go up and tape their friends and then send it to him and then get paid. They were submissions. So two boys she knows with a video camera are there at the dock with her. She's drunk with her friends, and they're like, there's a game going on where like if you show your boobs, you get something basically, and the more things you have, the cooler you are in school the next day, which is typical 90s. Unfortunately, that's typical 90s stuff.
Girls were so easy back in the 90s.
That is crazy. So
didn't even have to try.
So the guy with the camera comes up to drunk her. They'll offer her to give her some stuff if she flashes them. She's like, sure. She flashes them. She gets the stuff. She doesn't think anything of it. The next day, she sees a video of herself. The video of her goes wild in school. Somehow it's being passed to everybody. And she's like, what the hell is happening? And then it gets on Girls Gone Wild, and she becomes the face, inadvertently, of Girls Gone Wild. So that was the other fun thing I learned about the Joe Francis thing. He wasn't paying any of these girls who were going wild. They weren't getting paid at all.
Why am I paying you for something you doing freely?
Clearly, this was his whole perception.
All you wanted is Zima and, would you say, Smirnoff Isis?
Again, that wasn't his Girls Gone Wild crew. That's when they were doing the submissions. So that was her friends. Anyway, so she's like, why is my face everywhere? So she ends up taking it to court. Like, you can't use my likeness and not pay me for it. And especially, I'm underage. In addition, I never signed any releases for you to use my image like this. And she wins. So then it changes how Joe Francis starts handling his business. He starts hiring people so that he can control the content coming in. He gets the cameraman. He gets a manager, like a road manager. And it's this black woman. And my heart fell into my stomach. Because this black lady, she tries to like ride the fence of being an advocate for women, but also being about business. which for her means like doing whatever it takes, regardless of the safety of these women that she says she's advocating for. You can hear, I don't know how they got it, but they have like audio recording of her having meetings with Joe Francis, with the camera crew man, being like, do what you got to do. Like these girls shaking their boobs, whatever. Like that's not as exciting anymore. Try to get them to kiss, try to get them to finger each other, try to get them to eat each other out so they can get all on camera. That's a lot hotter. That's going to keep our views up. And it's this woman saying this. And then when she is having her interview, she's talking about how like she would do whatever it took to make sure that they reach their bottom line, because even though she personally did not like Joe Francis or his ethics that came with the business, she trusted him to make money. And I'm like, this is insane. This is crazy.
Why is it crazy and insane?
Because then she goes back and talks about how she wants to be an advocate for these girls. Like as soon as she got the footage, she made sure these girls got home safe. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense that you think you came out a good person out of all of this because you made sure they got home safe. That doesn't make sense. Anywho.
That's how you rationalize making bad money.
There's a cameraman who joined the Girls Gone Wild plight pretty early. And he's the guy that kind of like nudged them in the direction of going hardcore porn, apparently. He managed to talk these two girls into coming with him back to like a Motel 6 or whatever. They thought he was hot. And he was like, well, you know what's hot to me? If you guys make out and I tape you. And they were like, okay, these two girls that he was messing with. And the kissing led to them like fully going in on each other, having sex with each other. And he taped the whole thing. And Joe Francis happened to be on the road with him at that point and noticed that that's what got done. And he's like, that's what we're going to do from now on, basically. It is insane. But this same cameraman ends up having to eat shit hard because after the FBI raid in Pensacola, guess who goes down for all of that? He does. Joe Francis makes it sound like his business venture was on the up and up. He had let these cameramen make these choices, and these cameramen led them to make child pornography. It was not him. So the cameraman, you end up feeling bad for this dude because clearly his shit got rocked hard. He gets hit with all kinds of child pornography, child molestation, all these heinous sex crime. He gets hit with all of it. I don't think he ends up having to serve time. I think he ends up doing a plea deal so that they can continue to build their case against Joe Francis. But whatever he went through, whatever he saw, it shook the hell out this man because he was so scared for his children. So he's like a single dad. It was the other thing. He said he was doing all of that to make money because he was a single dad. But I don't know if he had an emotional reckoning or moral reckoning that came with it. But all of a sudden, he can't believe that he did what he did to these girls. And it like brings him to tears that he was the proponent behind a lot of this for these young girls. So then
he probably has girls.
He probably does. He probably has daughters. So yeah, so after all that, the raid goes down. They start
and he knows there are people like him in the world.
The raid goes down. Everybody's taking the hit except for Joe Francis, but eventually Joe Francis gets caught up in it as well. An assault case goes against him. Allegedly, Joe Francis on the road, he didn't give a crap about consent when it came to the girls that they were pulling. So if he liked a girl, if he thought a girl was cute or whatever, and she did the shoot for their videos, he would then take that girl to the back of the truck or the bus or whatever it was they were in, have his way with her, and then brag about it to everybody else, which was crazy. And apparently he did that a couple times with people who might not have been of consenting age. So those lawsuits end up getting settled, which means payout. But then he has the whole imprisonment situation where he imprisons 3 women in his home in Florida and assaults one of them. And then when he goes to court for that, he faces a penalty for it. He kind of gets a slap on the wrist, but he refuses to pay out any of the fines or anything. He instead opts to just leave the country, and he's been in Mexico ever since. And that was the Girls Gone Wild Untold story. A bunch of minors got taped doing stuff by being trapped in places, and they feared for their safety. So, yep.
Okay. Don't know how to follow that bleak. That happened with you.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And they show the photos of like who Joe Francis was like rubbing elbows with because he got really famous doing what he was doing, and he started dating celebrities. And they show all the people that were in his celebrity like friend group. Guess who's in those pictures? I'll give you two guesses. Guess one of the people in those pictures.
Diddy, I guess.
Clearly, yep, Diddy's in there, and so is Ashton Kutcher
Okay.
again. So,
Okay.
it was. Oh, if you remember Girls Gone Wild, and you're interested in knowing about the backstory, it's a decent watch. It's several episodes though, so you're gonna have to like tuck in and get ready to hear some insanity, like Joe Francis saying that he's a victim, not these girls. He doesn't think the girls are victims at all.
He's a dude, and they're a dude, and we're all dudes.
Basically, he's like, they said yes. How are they the victims? I'm like, oh my goodness. So, yeah, all of that's going down, and that's all I got for that happened.
And that was the life and time of Girls Gone Wild. That happened with Joe. That's that was the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, when it was really bad.
Yep.
When it was really bad.
So we're gonna move right along to 90 days before the 90 days.
Is this 90 day the other way, or is this 90 before the 90 days?
Before the 90 days.
Okay. It's 90 days before. Is it called before the 90 days, or it's 90 days before the 90 days?
90 Day Fiance before the 90 days.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna start off with Vajna and Bojo. Pretty much they're already broken up and no longer talking to each other. So Vanja's moved on. She hits the dating apps because after her and her cousin have a talk, she hits the apps. She starts to mingle with some other Croatian dudes. She meets a guy named Josko, whatever how you say his name. And pretty much she met another guy before that, but that was kind of creepy. She met another guy named Josko. She would let her tell it he had a slamming bod. Okay. He was handsome to her.
He is handsome. He does have a slamming bod. He's like the exact opposite of Bojo. Like
Trash.
It's like he's the exact opposite of Bojo.
Anywho,
he's tall. He's muscular. She says he has a bubble butt. That part's not true. I don't know where she was looking, but it wasn't there.
They go to the beach and go kayaking. He pretty much strips on the beach. Whatever. She likes that.
Yeah.
He's very
affectionate.
He kisses her. That's what she wanted. Put his tongue down her throat.
Yeah.
All down her esophagus.
But also like hugs her, like cuddles her and holds her and stuff. It's cute.
So eventually they make it back to her place.
Not eventually. She said, "You coming back to mine."
And they make out a little bit, and that's pretty much it.
No, actually, they have their dinner, and then he talks about how he's a foster dad, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's beautiful!" Like blah 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 blah. At the same time, though, she's hesitant because she doesn't know about becoming a stepmother necessarily to somebody.
Boring.
And he talks about how like that's usually what ends his dating life. Basically, they find out that he is a single father, and they're scared. They don't want to do anything further.
I wouldn't either. Moving on to Brian and Ingrid. Pretty much Brian is trying to make it seem like Ingrid is the one with the issues.
Brian is trash.
First of all, the first time they met face to face, he just
pulls out a colostomy bag and is like, all right.
Pretty much throws all his daily day-to-day on this woman without even first finding out if she loves him or wants to be with him for the future.
I agree. I think he's definitely overly familiar with her right when they first meet.
Exactly. He gives her way too much. Then for the rest of the trip or the rest of the time he's there, he hasn't left yet. He's still, I guess, got a couple of days left. So since then, all she's been doing is finding out more and more little bits and pieces of,
I would say big pieces that he neglected to tell her before
about him. Like the fact that he's been married numerous times.
Yeah. The apartment that he's going back to, he actually shared with his ex-wife. Yeah.
The reason he got shot was because he was trying to
Hustle somebody.
hustle his own ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she like, we don't play those games in the streets. I care about you, but I care about my money more.
The ex-girlfriend, not Ingrid.
And the ex-girlfriend put him in a wheelchair. Hello. She a boss. But basically, that's what she's been dealing with the whole time.
Like bombshell after bombshell after after bombshell.
So he calls her one more time to a restaurant. They're pretty much having this talk where he's pretty much trying to guilt bomb her into.
Yeah, guilt tripper for sure.
And she's like, wait a minute. First of all, I never said I wanted to take my kids to the States or anything.
Okay, you're skipping some stuff. But what did you think of him saying, I paid for your hotel that you're staying in? You know, I paid for the trip. I paid for this. I paid for that. Yada, yada, yada. What did you think about him making that list?
Thank you.
I'm not going to lie. When they first got out to Recife, and he said that he's staying in his apartment, but Ingrid wanted to stay in her own space, and he was going to pay for that hotel room, I was like, that is mad bold. That is bold. To be like, I need you to pay for this hotel room because I don't want to stay with you. That's bold.
I don't think she told. I think he offered.
Okay.
And now he's trying to make it seem like she
wanted it that way.
She wanted it that way or made him pay. I think he offered.
It was interesting. But at the same time, for Ingrid, the entire time that we've seen her, at least, the edits that we've seen of her, she hasn't come across as like, I'm only here for the green card. In my opinion, she hasn't really come across that way.
I think the issue with Ingrid was it was too much too damn soon.
I think it's definitely that, but I also feel like the romance part of it kind of got skewed when he kept talking about how he would need somebody to care for him. He made it sound like you're signing up for an in-house nurse situation.
On top of putting too much out there or doing too much when he first met her. Then, to top that off, she's also finding new information out about him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot. So.
And now he's pissed that she's not sleeping with him.
Anytime she gets kind of close to be like, okay, she finds something else out.
Yeah.
So it's like.
And not from him. So that's
the thing. It's about. Thing. It's like in conversation.
Yes, with another person who's like, right? How's it going with this and that?
You keep putting me back at square one every time I make a couple of steps. You put me back at square one because I find out new stuff. So I don't even know who the hell you are.
It irks me to no end when someone's like, yeah, they didn't know this about me, but they also didn't ask. And it's like, what would have prompted them to ask this? In your crazy mind, what would have prompted them to specifically ask you this specific question? What would have done that? That drives me crazy.
So basically, Ingrid tells him to go screw himself, and she
leaves.
And we will see what happens next week. I think she comes back.
I think she comes back and breaks up with him.
Yeah. I guess he meets her at the hotel. So, anywho, Joe and Magda.
Joey is an idiot.
Pretty much, Joe is pretty much backtracking and be like, we should take our time to get to know each other before we get married and you move to the States and all that stuff. Because I just found out that you've done this before. She's only done it once. Granted, it only took 3 months, but it's been once.
She previously moved to Germany for an ex to try to be with them, but there was cheating or whatever that got involved, and she ended up having to move back to Poland.
Like, why do you
want to do this again?
Up and leave so quick? I'm like, first of all, that's what typically happens. The woman typically moves. That's what typically happens. So that doesn't for me. That doesn't really make me go. Doesn't make me suspicious. But being 3 months, okay, cool. But Magda starts to go and pretty much say, wait a minute, you said you wanted to marry me, you wanted to be with me, you want to get engaged.
I already bought the ticket.
This
has been the plan.
To meet your family. This has been the plan. So now all of a sudden you want to backtrack?
He's clearly trying to scapegoat, clearly. Because he's been talking about how he has reservations about her wanting to get married so quickly. Been talking about that. But I think he was so excited to try to sleep with her. And then when he found out that that part is not happening on this trip, he's like, well, then why do you want to get married? Why do you want to get married?
Seems to me somebody says what they need to get the punani.
That's a very expensive way to do it, though. That's my other thing. It's very expensive.
I don't think.
I think we have two delusional people who are like, why aren't you getting on the same wave of my delusion? What's your problem? You got Joey, who, even though this girl has told him numerous times marriage is in the cards for her. That's what she wants ultimately. She wants to have babies. She wants to be somebody's wife. He's still like, we can just have fun. And then you've got Magda, who, for whatever reason, refuses to acknowledge that Joey is just a fuckboy and not somebody to get married to. And she's just like, we'll be happy together. I'm like, okay. All right.
But at the same time, too, he said things he said things
Mm-hmm.
to try to get laid.
That's true.
Pretty much what it's doing.
That's true.
And then she calls him out on it. So since you're not having sex, you're rethinking everything.
Well, that's actually a preview for next week. That didn't even really happen in this episode.
But she kind of said that since we're not having sex now, everything is like whatever.
You're second guessing everything, yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I think what happened was he's used to doing this, getting what he wants, getting sex, and then being able to skirt out.
Yeah.
This is the first girl that's actually held him
accountable
to what he said.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to do it, how to take it, or what to do.
I agree.
Or how to react. Next is Niles and Matilda. Pretty much Niles doesn't have enough money for the dowry or whatever.
For everything associated with that wedding, yep.
So Matilda talks to her brother and gets some money to help out with their wedding garments.
Yes. But they still need more money.
So Niles is going to talk to Mr. Ark.
But we don't see that in this episode.
To see if he can get the money. But what we do see in this episode is Niles finally talks to his parents.
His biological parents.
And they're not down. Unlike Brandy, they're not down.
Again, I feel like this is a situation of how it was presented. Because he's already in Africa. He hasn't checked in with them this entire time.
But they know he is in Africa.
Yeah, they know he's in Africa, but he also has not checked in with them this entire time. So the first time they hear from him, he's like, yeah, I'm just back in the hotel. It's been great. By the way, I'm getting married. And they're like, they already had reservations about this relationship in the first place. And it sounds like he has a history of being very impulsive when it comes to his romantic relationships. And they're like, no, we need you to think this through. You need to take your time. And he's like, I took enough time. It's been 2 years, Father. I've already done this and that. It doesn't go well. His parents are not on board.
And you guys don't want to talk to her. So how is she going to get your blessing or get to
know you?
Yeah. If you guys don't want to talk to her to begin with.
True.
And in his defense, it's been 2 years. It's 2 years.
But it's 2 years online. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like she was flying back and forth to see him. It's 2 years online.
At least he took 2 years.
I mean, I can understand why his parents they're hesitant to be like, oh yeah, this is this is meant to be for you. I can understand why they're hesitant. Plus his romantic history, it hasn't been the best. So I can get why his parents are like, I don't know about this.
And now Matilda is like second guessing trying to move to America because she's like, I don't want to be there by myself when you're busy.
Matilda is going through it. She loves this man. And he's done nothing but keep stuff from her and blame her for stuff. So like, and now she's finding out that her future in-laws are going to hate her guts. And I'm supposed to leave everything I know and move over that way? Ugh.
So, and we leave it at that.
Yeah.
Vea and Sonny, pretty much
another nonsensical couple.
He's still upset, but he decides he want to try one more time to talk to Rory and see whatever. I don't know what the hell he's trying to see.
Actually,
I have no idea.
They came to a consensus that he understood where Rory was coming from. That's what they were doing during that whole breakfast thing. Like he's had some time to cool down. And he can kind of see where Rory was coming from with just wanting to protect his friend, is what he was saying. But he was also telling Vea, listen, I understand that you wanted him as like the safety net, but for us to see if this really works, it needs to just be us one-on-one. can you tell Rory to go home? And she agrees. She texts Rory and is like, all right, I feel safe enough to be here. You can head on home. And Rory's like, all right, I'll get things arranged and I'll head out in a couple days. And then they go on safari.
Has to be one on one.
Where, what's his name? Sonny.
Yeah.
Sonny takes this very big step to apologize to Rory.
First of all, we found out some things on the safari. I didn't know they just stop in the middle of safari and let you go to the bathroom anywhere.
Outside.
But that probably only happens with white people on the safari.
Who knows?
Also, I noticed that zebras are the donkey horses.
They slanging that
animal
slang.
kingdom.
They slanging it.
I wasn't talking like that. I just think that
Slanging it.
donkey and horses.
That's what donkeys and horses are also known for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think zebras are more. I think they have more in common with mules than donkeys per se.
Well, donkey mules, they all both are the fake horses of the mammal kingdom.
Not fake horses.
Like a retarded Campbell or something.
No, why would you use that word?
Stupid camel.
Oh my goodness.
The art. Stop. Whatever. I've used the worst on this thing.
I hope not.
I have. And pretty much, I guess they make amends, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, they do. They agree on a clean slate. Rory's like, I appreciate where you're coming from.
They get off the safari, and then
get into another fight.
Get into another fight when Vaya.
Yes. Refuses to cover up tattoos.
To meet his father or parents.
She's like, I'm not changing myself for anybody.
And Rory actually takes Sonny's side. Like, yeah,
it's a cultural and religious thing. It's not. It's not them saying you have to change your entire person.
And then Rory has a sidebar and goes, "Yep, it's time for him to deal with her
bullshit, basically.
Bullheaded ish."
He said one of the hardest things about dating Vaya was that she's very stuck in her ways, which is a very kind way to say that she is immovable when it comes to having her own opinion. Nobody else's opinion exists. Just
she
hers.
Can be a mule. So he said it's time for him to have to figure that out and deal with it. I don't have to anymore. But you're still kind of dealing with it because you're still there.
Yeah, you still volunteered your own money to go do this. Anyway, whatever. But yes, we see them. You see Sonny being like, I'm not trying to change you. I'm just saying to be respectful to my parents. You could wear long sleeves. If you could wear long sleeves, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I think the final couple is Faith and Lauren.
Oh, the gross guy.
So pretty much Faith is confronting Lauren about what her friends say he was flirting.
Yes.
I actually believe Lauren because the way he said he flirted, no one would say that.
First of all, Faith goes, my friends said they saw you flirting with the drag queens. And then Lauren goes, inside or outside? That's not a good way to counter this argument.
That's a good way.
And she goes, outside.
Yeah,
and he goes, I wasn't flirting with any drag queens outside. I was talking to the kids.
Exactly.
And Faith goes, kids? What do you mean kids? And he goes, well, some of these kids came up to me, and they were like, our friend thinks you're really cute. And they pointed to a girl. So I karate chop caressed her face.
Literally. That's literally what he did. That's literally.
He says, I gave her one of these. And he like karate chops face to caress it. And goes, wow, that's very flattering. I'm here for my very beautiful girlfriend, Faith. And it's like, sir, there's so many things wrong with this story.
He said, I can go for that. No.
They're children.
No, can do.
You acknowledge that these are kids. I have so many questions. Oh. Gross man. He's like, I don't understand why Faith has these trust issues. Nigga, you told her you cheated on her.
So,
you came in with gonorrhea dick. What is wrong with you?
Oh, wow. And actually worse. Sure. So the next preview for them two is, I guess, him putting a ring on a rope, and I guess she's going to pull it out his ass.
It's not a rope. It's like a rainbow kerchief.
Kerchief. I guess she's going to pull it out his ass, see if she can get the ring. I don't know.
Why she got to pull it out his ass? He had it in a hat.
Because he pulled it all out to show her, so I don't know what was the point.
Why would it then go in his ass?
I don't know. He can be into anything.
I'm confused by this logic.
I'm not, because what was the point of pulling it all out and showing it to her?
He was saying our story is a long one, and at the end of it is a ring. Like, that was what he was doing. I don't know why it had to be on a handkerchief.
Whatever. I missed that whole
Clearly, you were
analogy.
too busy trying to figure out how he was going to put it in his butt. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, actually, I was trying to figure out what was the whole point to that whole thing anyway.
I don't understand why he wants to get married to her so bad in the Philippines.
Because he can't afford to stay in the States, nor he has anything going in the States.
He can't afford to stay in the Philippines at this rate.
Exactly.
So many questions.
But I got a hot bed and a cot. I got a cot.
And cot as in COT?
Yeah.
Definitely thought you were saying something else. All right.
Cock?
Sure. It sounds exactly the same.
Sure. He got both. In the Philippines. Nothing in the States.
If he breaks up with Faith, though, where's he staying?
Some alleyway.
Not an alleyway.
In Manila. Who knows? I don't know. And that's pretty much 90-day fiance before the 90 days.
I am mad at this camera crew with the video footage of Lauren talking to underage teens.
What are they going to do about it?
Stop him?
That's not my job to stop anybody from making bad decisions.
Oh, gosh.
My job is just to film it and document.
You want to talk about the ultimatum?
Knock yourself out.
You got to bring them up. I have no idea what any of these names are. I made Calvin watch the most recent episode drops of the ultimatum. So he's coming into it not having seen any of the prior 5 episodes. The couple we fought about in the last podcast, he's kind of changed his tune on a little bit. That's Caleb and Mariah.
Ultimatum.
Huh?
I don't know how to spell ultimatum.
It's right there.
Where? Oh.
Anyway, so there's a couple called Caleb and Mariah. Caleb is very quiet. He's like the calmest guy on the show. He actually was partnered with Aria. Aria came in with Scotty. Scotty is a jerk. Anyway, Caleb and Aria, it looked like they had like a lot of chemistry. It looked like they would have made a very beautiful romantic couple. Aria definitely would have swayed into romantic feelings for Caleb.
Who are you starting with?
Caleb and Mariah.
Okay, Caleb and Mariah.
That's who I've been talking about. Where have you been?
Trying to pull it up for you.
You know what? Okay, side conversation. This is between me and the rest of the podcast, not Calvin. Calvin is focused on something else. Sure. I watched this video.
As if I can't hear you.
That tested if men could multitask. Spoiler, they can't, is what it turned out. They asked these dudes to cut out a Christmas tree that was already pre-drawn on construction paper and then also tell them a favorite memory, and they could not do it. They could either cut that tree or they could tell the memory, but they couldn't do both. And it was hilarious.
Any man who said they can multitask is trying to be catty.
It was hilarious because a lot of them were coming in with big stories about how like they could do it all and then they could not do 2 things. It was so funny.
Those are the men you want to run away from. They have women tendencies.
It was hysterical. Anyway, back to Mariah and Caleb. Caleb, like I said, he was partnered with Aria, who originally came into the experiment with her boyfriend, Scotty, who actually gave her the ultimatum.
Scotty too hottie.
Caleb and Aria actually got along really, really well. And it was the first time Aria was with somebody who actually like paid attention to her, like actually talked to her. It wasn't calling her out her name every 5 seconds. Respected her as a person. And she started to get some feelings for Caleb. But Caleb really only had eyes for Mariah. He made it pretty well known that even though him and Aria did get close, it was friendship only. And him and Mariah was what he was really focused on. But when he returns to Mariah, it's not purposefully. It's not smooth sailing at all. Mariah has a lot of questions about what his expectations are moving forward for them, especially concerning Aria. Like even when they're having their like little meetup at the table with all the couples and Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey, she kind of really hyper focuses on the fact that Aria has all of these, while kind things to say about Caleb, they're also very romantic leading things to say about Caleb. And she's concerned that there might be more there between the two of them. But instead of saying it like that to Caleb, she kind of dances around this whole make me feel better because I feel insecure about you being with Aria this whole time situation, which just rubs Caleb the wrong way.
Make me feel good.
He gets really frustrated that like every 2 seconds she wants to rehash whether or not he has feelings for Aria. And then also she'll be like, hold me. Just hold me. It's like, take care of me. And he's like, what do you want from me?
Hey, Mariah.
And this is also the girl who wants to get married. So I'm interested to see if it's still going to lead to an engagement. Because, like, throughout the experiment, Caleb has really decided that Mariah, for him, is like the most important person for him. But will this lead to an engagement like she wants? Is the ultimate question.
They looked fine by the end of the show.
They what?
They looked fine by the end of the show.
They look fine. Does that mean they're going to get married, though?
I hope not.
I'm very interested. Scotty and what is her face? Scotty was paired up with another girl. I want to say Naya? Zena? Zaina? Keep going up.
I am.
Then what's her name, Calvin?
Zaina.
Goodness gracious.
I don't know none of these heifers. I didn't watch the show.
You know what they look like? We didn't watch the show. Anywho. Scotty and Zaina.
She looks like somebody who has no respect for herself and loves to be badgered.
It is funny that you think that, but most of the internet, myself included, thinks Zaina does have a lot of respect for herself because she doesn't kowtow to a lot of, like, quote unquote alpha masculinity that she deals with.
Oh god.
So she gets paired up. I shouldn't say get. She chose to pair up with Scotty.
Sure she does.
She gave the ultimatum to her boyfriend that she brought in, this guy named JR, to get married because she doesn't want to be a girlfriend forever. And she said that she was looking for a partner that was also trying to move towards marriage.
Still a girlfriend.
So she paired up with Scotty, who also is determined to move forward towards marriage. And at first, it was off like gangbusters. These two had so much in common. They're both on the same page about getting married. It was a good deal until they hit their first bump. And that's when Scotty was complaining that they weren't seeing each other enough. They lived together for their experiment. So I don't know what this complaint was. But he was complaining they didn't have enough time to, like, really enjoy each other. And he was trying to plan, like, some outdoor things they could do together, and she shot down two of his ideas. One of them was like ballooning. She has a fear of heights. She's like, I would not be able to be comfortable and enjoy being with you if we were doing that. And then the other one was like rock climbing or something crazy, and she was like, I am not really into that. I don't want to do that either. So she shot down those two ideas, and he took it like she didn't want to go with him nowhere, and he flipped switches and was just like, I'm not going to plan anything with you anyway. You're so ungrateful, blah, 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 blah. And, like, tried his tactics to, like, manipulate her, basically. And it didn't work. She immediately calls him out on his behavior. She's like, well, I don't know why you need to talk to me in this tone. We can calmly talk to each other about what's going on and try to come to a consensus and a middle ground. Those were just two ideas. And they just happened to be two ideas that didn't work well for me. So he calms down. They seem to be getting along. He goes to guy night, where JR confronts him and asks him why he's talking shit behind his back. JR thinks Scotty is saying that the only reason JR is there is to get a free pass. Scotty's looking at him bewildered because he has no idea why he thinks this, and he hasn't been saying anything. He gets back to the apartment and immediately takes out his uncertainty or insecurity around it on Zaina. He treats her like she did something bad immediately. And she's like, what is going on? And he's like, you know what's going on. And she's like, I have no idea what's going on. What's happening? And rather than straight out tell her this is what happened at guys' night and I'm feeling a way about it, he dances this insane dance around it to make her guess what's wrong. And she calls him out on it. She's like, you could just have a conversation with me so that we can find out what's going on. But instead, you want to blame me and interrogate me and try to treat me. And he tells her that's not what he's doing at all. And he doesn't know why she's getting upset, which is insanely gaslighty. And she calls him out on that too. Like she manages to like corner him at each of his manipulation tactics to ask him what's really happening. And finally he breaks down that JR said this thing. He thinks it's coming from her because who else could it have come from? And she explains that that's not what's going on at all. Her and JR both decided to really immerse themselves in the experiment. They have not been talking. Word on the street is no one said anything to JR about this. JR just had an insecurity that people thought he was there for a hall pass, and that's why he took it out on Scotty. But that's a theory. We don't know if that's true or not. So.
Oh, my God. So let me get this straight. She stood up to some guy she has no type of feelings for. And you guys
She did have feelings for. She did.
She don't have no feelings for Scotty.
Now she don't, but she did have feelings for him.
Stop.
You haven't watched the whole thing. Okay, yeah. Anyway,
Stop.
so
So you mean to
then
tell me she was falling in love with him in 2 weeks?
falling in love, no, but you can have feelings for somebody. It doesn't have to just be love.
Let me recalibrate. She didn't have feelings strong enough to be like he can say whatever the hell he wants to say to her. If that was Scotty saying what that dude said, she probably would win whatever.
What dude said?
When that guy confront whatever y'all guys say, she was standing up to Alpha Dude or whatever.
It was him. When Scotty was yelling at her about the hall pass conversation he had with JR. It was him. She stood up for herself in that conversation, which she did.
To Scott, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, to Scotty.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about JR. If JR would have said some things to her, she would have melted in whatever. That what she do.
I disagree.
Because JR pretty much does what he wanted to do. JR pretty much embarrasses her at the table.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Numerous times. And she says absolutely nothing.
No, she said some stuff.
Absolutely nothing.
No, she said some stuff.
Okay, whatever.
Anywho, but there's also a theory out there that JR and her weren't a couple during this whole thing. There's a hard theory that these two maybe dated a few times or maybe even were a couple, and then when they finally got around to taping this show had either already agreed to break up or whatever, but that they weren't tied to each other in that way like the other couples, because it gives a lot of friend vibes between the two of them.
Okay.
So anywho,
but I can see that, but
so
it is what it is.
The point is, this guy that she thought checked all the boxes that she'd want in a partner moving towards marriage, she was like, just kidding, no, I don't know what all this is. What in the world? To her credit, she's very gracious when it comes to talking about what her time with Scotty was. She does lead with a lot of positivity for him. Like, he's very sure about what he wants. He can be a very caring partner. He does look out to do this and do that. And like, there is some positives with him. She does talk about their fights and how like she didn't appreciate certain ways that he approached it and what she learned from that. And then when they're also still going around the table, Scotty, trying to defend himself when it comes to his fights with Zaina, talks about how like she was trying to flip things to a different perspective. And the person who jumps in to agree with Scotty is JR. So it was, which was crazy. Anyway, the other drama that we had to deal with was JR talking about his time with Sandy. Sandy came into the experiment with her boyfriend, Nick. Nick is the one who issued the ultimatum because he was trying to get married. And as the show has progressed, Nick has shown himself to be, I don't want to use the word unstable, but maybe not the best when it comes to planning things. His complaint had been that their age gap might be why where he's at in his life, which is him wanting to settle down, start a family, is where she is not at in her life, because there's a nice 11 to 12-year age difference between the two of them. He says that Sandy still wants to party and he's not in that space anymore. But he had a huge issue with Sandy moving forward with JR. At first, he was like, I mean, like, he was upset, but he was like, it is what it is. But that was when he thought he had another partner. He had paired up with this woman named Vanessa. But very early in the experiment, Vanessa dropped the fuck out. Her and her boyfriend that she brought in, this guy named Dave, they left. And then another girl and her boyfriend, I want to say Micah maybe, they also left. So we had two couples leave the experiment very early on, which resulted in Nick being by himself, as well as his girl Mariah, who was with Caleb. They ended up running that experiment by themselves, and Nick could not cope with being by himself. He did not act well during the time that he was by himself. He was badgering and harassing Sandy while she was trying to spend her time with JR. And then we see later in the conversations that Sandy has with JR that JR felt away. He's like, you know, we're supposed to be in this experiment together to really explore it. He's calling Sandy wifey and all these other kinds of crazy words. And he felt really put off by the fact that Sandy still cared about Nick. But at the same time, it was like, what did you expect? Like, she just met you in this experiment. She's not going to throw Nick away to be with you, JR, clearly.
First of all, Nick was out there like he was Ray J. If I had one wish, dancing in the rain, singing to the damn windows, trying to get her to come downstairs,
Okay. So,
which was crazy.
when they go back to their original coupling, Zaina finds out at the table with everybody else that Sandy and JR were the only couple to take it to a physical level in their relationship. The only couple to
And
take it to a physical relationship.
two, I think it was more about they wanted to see what the other side was like.
Clearly, JR was very hyped up on the fact that Sandy is this white girl and he's never been with a white girl, yada, yada, yada. And Sandy was very hyped up with JR being this black man. So Zaina finds out at the table that Sandy and JR made out. We all know it was more than made out. We all know that, but whatever. Show's pretending they don't know. Then we find out later in the course of the show, it wasn't just the one time. They made out more than once. Zaina finds this out through JR when she's having the conversation with JR about how she felt foolish in front of everybody else because she had no idea that him and Sandy had made out. And JR lets her know that it was more than once. He initiated one, according to him, and Sandy initiated one. Again, I don't know how true. Anyway, so then Zaina tells this to Nick. Her and Nick meet up so that Nick can apologize for how everything went down with the group meetup and how she kind of got thrown in the mix of a lot of things. And she's like, well, at the time I had no idea about the kiss, but, now that I know that they had, that first kiss he initiated and the second kiss she initiated, I can understand where you're coming from. And Nick goes, what do you mean second kiss? And he ends up going back to confront Sandy and being like, you told me about one kiss. You didn't tell me about this other kiss. And Sandy's like, well, you didn't ask. It's like, again, why would he ask this very specific question? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
If you want specific answers, you ask specific questions.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
How many times did y'all make out? Now she has to give you a specific answer or not answer the question.
They had a conversation where he was like, I understand that your relationship got physical. She said, yeah. And he's like, so when I asked you, did you guys kiss? And you said the one time, how was I supposed to know there was more than one time?
So you're supposed to ask.
So I'm supposed to ask, did you kiss? And then I got to ask, did you kiss more than once? That's what I got to do?
Yeah.
That's so dumb. Anyway.
No, that's when people don't want to admit they were guilty for doing something. That's how you got to ask the question if you want the guilty person to answer it or figure out if they're guilty or not.
If they're already that avoidant, they're probably not going to answer the question.
And then you know that.
If they're already that avoidant, me asking it in a particular way is not going to change anything. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's going to let you know they're guilty.
To me, all it does is change the blame around of like, oh no, I didn't. It's not that I did this bad thing. It's that you didn't ask me the right way if I did this bad thing. Like that's what we're going to focus on. Not the fact that I did the bad thing, that you didn't ask me the right way if I did this bad thing. And that is Sandy's takeaway, as like she already knew Nick was upset with the first kiss, so she didn't want to bring up the second kiss. Plus, he didn't ask her about the second kiss, so she was going to drop it, which doesn't make sense. He gets upset and he walks away, and Sandy gets frustrated. From Sandy's point of view, some of the stuff that she complains about with Nick, it doesn't make sense to me why they are still together. She talks a lot about how she always feels like she's the one taking care of him, cleaning up after him, like having to be on call for him at all times for his emotional needs, his physical needs, whatever. She talks about that a lot to the point where like when her family gets on screen, they know exactly what she's talking about. And they complain that he's not the right person for her. But when she has the opportunity to not be around this man, she doesn't choose it at all. She complains that he harasses her and he's always texting her. Come to find out, she's also reaching out. She's also feeding into this behavior. So what? So anyhow.
First, Nick whole shtick is he wants to be popular. He still thinks he's in high school. He's trying to be the popular kid. That's his whole shtick. That's why he ends up getting the same tattoos that dude.
Yes.
Pretending like it's an accident.
We see Nick go get the exact same tattoo that JR has. And then they have a meetup where they see it. And JR's like, nice tattoo, Ink. I have the same one. And Nick tries to sell it as like, oh no, they tattooed the wrong thing. I wanted love conquers all, but instead I did fortune favors the bold. It was a mistake. It's in Latin. It's very hard. It's very hard to forget that somebody else has it. Anyway, neither here nor there. So basically we're leading up to the reunion. I did not watch, I think the final episode dropped about maybe it didn't drop yet, but I haven't seen the episode yet where they make their final choices. I'm hoping everybody decides to break up. I'm hoping Scotty and Arya break up. Oh, I didn't talk about them. Arya gets back with Scotty. She goes from Caleb, who's this very nice, nurturing type of partner, to Scotty, who's this very volatile, toxic partner who her brother did not like. He's like, I was not a big fan of Scotty. He shares so many of the toxic traits that our father has. And Arya does not have a good relationship with her father. And at first, Arya's like, no, that's not true. But as she sticks it out with Scotty, she points out all of these things that have been prohibiting her from jumping the marriage situation with him, like joining him in that at all. They don't live in the same cities. They live two separate lives basically and see each other when they see each other, which has been working for her because him full time is too much for her. She ends up in tears a lot being around Scotty because of how he talks and treats her.
Let's not act like she doesn't like to cry.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that she likes being disrespected because she doesn't.
Obviously, she does because she's still with him, isn't she?
I don't know. I don't know. I thought so, but not necessarily. So everybody's trying to figure out who's with who based on their social media following. And the only one that's concrete that they're not together anymore is Zaina and JR. Concrete. So I don't know if she's still with Scotty or not.
I guess she finally got the hint.
Who, Zaina?
Yeah.
Nothing about finally. Everybody's theory is that they have not been together this whole time. This whole time. Everybody's theory.
So then if she wasn't there for branding or to put her face out there to do whatever, then why go there to be humiliated?
No, I think that is what it was. They both got on there to brand, to become
okay. I thought
influencers.
He was the one just trying to do all the branding.
No, they're saying both of them. Now, JR is fighting for his life on his social, saying that that's not why he was there.
Okay.
But everybody's like, please. Okay. So there's that. But yeah, so the Scotty Arya thing, she is sticking up for herself a lot. When we first saw Arya come in with Scotty, he would talk all kinds of way to this girl, and she kind of just took it. But now when he tries to do that, she confronts him, and it's like, I don't appreciate this. Like, this, that, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to work forward and find out if they can make this work after all of their experiences. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that was the Ultimatum. What did you think of what you watched?
I didn't think nothing of what I watched.
Okay, well, that's the end of the podcast.
Because it's to me, it's just like it's the same thing to me. I don't see like what is different from these couples on this season than last season. What's the difference between these couples this season and the couples last season?
Calvin, what couples did you watch last season?
I'm just asking. In general, I'm just asking a question.
Your question is a comparison, and you don't have any basis of comparison.
Because it seems like every time I've looked at, it's the same thing.
What do you mean by same thing?
It's the same.
What makes it the same thing?
The same women, the same dudes with the same problems.
The last Ultimatum you watched was lesbians, so there weren't any dudes. It was all ladies
with the same problems.
But that is also the nature of the show. That's the nature of the show. It's called the Ultimatum. I think it's like marriage or breakup, basically. But that's the point. The show is repetitive. It's, hey, we got these couples who all have hit this level where they want to get married, but their partner doesn't. That's the whole premise of the show.
It's to me, I guess for me is, you obviously, I don't think nobody's there with the intentions of trying to keep a relationship together.
So I would agree with you, except
I think everybody's there just to get clout.
Except that the statistics for this show, favorable, positive, they're high. So a lot of these couples that go on this show end up getting married.
Because they aren't quitters. They don't know when to quit.
But what I'm saying is, if this was a show just for popularity, just to get your social influence or whatever, it would be like Love is Blind, where nobody stays together. Like the statistics on that show, terrible. Nobody stays together. Nobody.
Then that would mean there's a bunch of couples coming on there that don't need to be on there just to come on there just to be on the show.
My other thing though is, like, if you were trying to get on a show for social media clout, the Ultimatum is not the show. Nobody is moving from the show and being like, yeah, I really love this person or that. It that's this the ultimatum doesn't work the same way as like Love is Blind does, where you're focused on the individual and then they can move forward individually. This is all couple. So unless you're moving forward as a couple, this doesn't really work as a jumping off point to do social influencing if that was your bag.
In the words of Waldo Faldo Ronaldo, cool.
Is it Ronaldo?
Yeah.
I thought it was Geraldo.
Ronaldo.
Waldo,
Faldo,
Faldo,
Ronaldo,
Geraldo.
Faldo, something like that.
Waldo, yeah. Waldo, Faldo, Geraldo. Because it went in alphabetical order. Waldo, Faldo, Geraldo. Hernardo?
Who knows? Yeah, I just that's my thing. It's because see, for me, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to articulate how I feel about the ultimate.
Okay.
Because in my head, in my mind, it's just repetitive.
But you could say that of 90 Day Fiance. How's that not repetitive?
Touche. And then that goes to you like what you like.
Yeah.
So, but
You like what you like.
I just think it's harder for me to watch that because I take the ultimatum as people who I guess are attempted to try.
Okay. Did you watch the South Africa one?
No.
It was so good. It was so good. I like the ultimatum because it's coming from. It's nice to see their partners, usually the guys, realize how much value their partner brings in. It's nice to see that. It's nice that these guys, when they're first going in, because usually it's the girl giving the ultimatum, they go into this thinking, oh, yeah, I mean, like I have her in my pocket, but I'm about to live my best life out here. And then they get on the show and that doesn't go down. It's the opposite every time.
And I'm
The girl
saying
has all these options and the guy doesn't really have a whole lot of
that
options.
girl,
And then all of a sudden these guys are like, crap,
these girls,
I could lose her.
that girl can do the same thing right out there in the streets.
Mm,
Yeah.
they'd have to break up. The thing about the ultimatum is like it is kind of a hall pass.
But you're breaking.
It's a we're together, but we're gonna do this experiment with other people, and then we're gonna get back
Then
together.
you're not breaking up.
Exactly. So if you were to do this in the real world, there's not really room for you to do it like that.
Whatever.
Versus being on the show.
Sure. I guess. Yeah.
But it's to me, it's nice because that's exactly what happened with Dave and Vanessa, who left this show because of it. He came in there being like, "I'm about to live my best life." She wants to give me this ultimatum. It's whatever. I'm gonna meet these other people. I'm trying to make emotional and physical connections and see if the grass is greener on the other side. And then he got there and nobody wanted him, and he was like, "Oh no!" And then he saw how many people wanted her, and he was like, "Oh no!"
I don't understand why dudes don't understand. There's a reason pussy sells.
Oh my God! What?
It's the reason.
What?
If you're a woman, you could just
It's not just about pussy. They're talking about emotional connections.
What I'm saying to you is, it's gonna be easier for a female to find somebody.
Disagree.
Yeah.
If a female's going out there with the full intent of just physical, yeah,
Just like
it's
you said.
easy.
Just
But
like
if she's
you
going
said.
out there for full person, she's looking for an emotional and physical connection, harder.
Just like you
harder.
said. Just like you said. He went on that show thinking it's gonna be him. All of a sudden, it was her that had no problem finding dudes that wanted to partner up with her, and he was on the outside looking in,
Mm-hmm.
and he changed his tune real fast.
Mm-hmm.
That you could do the same thing out in the streets.
Yeah, you could, but
The difference is it's not in a contained.
being out in the streets means you would have to break up. You can't be like, you're not appreciating me, so this is what I propose.
It's not.
I'm gonna go date somebody else. Like you can't do that in real life.
It's not a controlled environment. That's the only difference.
You
It's
keep
not a
saying controlled environment, but I mean, like it's an environment that's got its own parameters, sure.
It's a controlled environment.
Well, because it's an experiment.
That's what I'm saying.
But
it's
I
a
can
controlled
see why it's easier to do that on the show than it is to do out in the street.
because it's a controlled environment. She's not out there.
You You said they don't need the show. They could do this in the street. They can't.
Yeah, they can. But what I'm saying is the reason dudes would do it this way is because of control environment.
How would you do this in real life out on the street? Explain. How would you do that in real life out on the street?
You're breaking up anyway for the show. You're breaking up, aren't you?
But they get back together. So how would you do that?
Numerous couples break up in the streets and get back together. That's not new.
Here's why I think what you're saying is flawed. In this show, they have a front seat. They have a front seat to see all the stuff that's going down. Yes, they're technically broken up.
That's the only
but
difference.
They see their partner moving forward with this other person regularly. If they did this in real life, out on the streets, as you said, they wouldn't see any of that. They also would have the option to just not engage. And they don't have that in the show.
Okay. That's why it's like I agree with you. It's a control. It's like I said, it's a control environment.
Oh my goodness.
It's a control environment.
I find it fascinating. I find it endlessly fascinating. The couples, at least at this point, because we're on like season 5. Like it's not a surprise anymore. It's not a guess of like, okay, how does this work? People know how this works. They still go and do it. They still have the hurt feelings, and they still get surprised. I am waiting though for an Ultimatum season where the two people so the first season kind of had this where there were two people who decided to move forward together. They decided not to go back to their original partners. They decided to stay together and move forward. They quickly broke up after the show, though. I'm waiting to see somebody do that and stay together. That would be extremely fascinating to me.
Sure. I don't know what
the other thing that the Ultimatum brings is like a full person accounting, basically. Dating in the real world dating, it takes time to do that, to break down and meet the real person. It takes some time.
You're still not meeting the real person. It's a little controlled environment. I'm sorry, you're not.
I feel like you get a preview of that person a lot sooner than if you did out on the street. Like how Zaina found out about Scotty the way that she did. I feel like if they were dating, she wouldn't have seen that for a minute. But being forced to be in the show, she saw it a lot sooner.
She'd have seen it. Would she have? Would it have been a deal breaker?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Because it was a deal breaker on the show.
On the show because she had somebody to fall back to. Or she was going back to someone else.
Allegedly. She is single right now. I don't think her concern was making sure she stayed with a partner.
Whatever, sure. I just think if that was in the streets, it'd have been a little differently when she meant that. She'd probably either not paid attention to it or dismissed it.
I feel like you have more room to continue with the representation of yourself in the streets than you do when you're forced to live together. Living together to me is when it really breaks down like, oh shit, this is the person. Because I'm seeing you unfiltered at that point. We are sleeping, eating, shitting together at that point. And they do this experiment for like anywhere from 4 to 6 months. So that's several weeks of that. And I feel like it breaks down the representative barrier a lot faster than on the street, where you choose your own pace.
It depends on the person, but yeah.
I think it also depends on the age of the person.
That's true.
I feel like when you're younger, you tend to move a lot faster. Like I got a friend now who's close to my age. She's like she's in her late 30s, and she's finding it extremely difficult. I mean, extremely difficult the dating scene. I've only heard complaints about the DMV dating scene. I have not heard a single person been like, it's great out here. It's lovely. They all complain. But her whole thing is like dating at our age, basically. People are set in their ways. Finding compromise, so hard.
Yeah, because you're old.
So hard.
Because you're old. And two,
you're old.
Don't no old person want another old person.
That's not true.
Yeah, it's kind of.
The Jean Bonnet dude, he married somebody close to his age. For a change.
What are you talking about?
Jean Bonnet's dead.
Wasn't that lady? That's after he needed somebody to see the signs of stroke.
What? Anywho.
He needed somebody to be able to tell him to take
what
his
I'm
medicine.
saying is he's also old, and he married somebody also old?
Yeah, because he was...
You said nobody old wants anybody old. That's what you said.
Some people do because they want somebody to be able to show that they'll know the signs of stroke and be able to tell them to take their blood pressure medicine.
You're so crazy.
Young girls ain't gonna do that.
This
They're too
particular
busy
friend of mine does not want
trying
to
to live.
date young. She's used to dating older.
Oh, so she want to be the one to be able to see the signs of stroke.
I don't know. So for her, she said her age limit right now is 55, and she's like 38. I think that's reasonable. I don't think it's terrible.
Oh, she want to use Blue Chew consistently.
Some people use that right now.
She want to use Blue Chew.
You know what? People don't do Blue Chew. They do the honey packets.
She want to put Blue Chews and honey packets in his coffee every morning. That's what she wants.
Another random side conversation. The rise of impotency among younger men skyrocketing.
Yeah, because they don't know how to talk to females.
They're blaming it on porn. I don't know how accurate that is. They're blaming it on the availability of porn. Like how that's like a significant factor.
Well, if you see everything and you jack off all the time and you see everything, there's really nothing to look forward to.
There's still
especially
a connection with a real person. I would
they
think
don't
it's different.
know how to do connection because everything is through the phone.
Kiss me through the phone?
Like
the song?
Talking about?
Like you said, everything's through the phone.
Yeah.
Like the song, Kiss Me Through the Phone.
Yeah. So when they're sitting next to a female, they don't really know the foreplay. They just do what they see on the porn. And the girl's like, what the hell are you doing?
I'm just saying, with the advent of the internet, even if you are watching the porn, there's also all of the other stuff that talks about like what people really like.
Really thinking dudes are watching normal porn and not the most grotesque, violent things, then something's really your night.
What I'm saying is, I think they're watching that.
They're not watching how to talk to women and get them in the mood. They're only watching probably other alpha dudes who say crazy stuff because they got money.
But they also still have Google. You're telling me that they're also not being like, what really makes a girl feel good? Like, they're not doing that?
Because if I do that, it's going to come off robotic. Like, where the fuck did you watch that at?
But there's an aspect of learning with your. I'm confused.
No,
I'm confused.
You know how you learn? By actually sitting there and talking to people.
Listen, I'm confused. I
don't know what you're confused about.
I'm gonna keep repeating that. I've had this conversation with several women as well that I'm friends with, where they kind of feel like at a certain point a guy should just know. How would they just know? And like our conversation right now kind of feeds into that discourse of like, they need to just know. But how would they just know?
How am I going to just know? I don't know how your body works.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's an aspect of learning. There's a learning curve that comes with your partner.
The learning curve is talking to women. Face to face.
But what I'm saying is some women are like, you should already know. Like, even them talking is them being like, nah, he's giving me the ick because he doesn't know. And it's like, he won't know. He won't know.
Then they want a pimp.
Not a pimp. A pimp wouldn't know.
9 times out of 10, when women a lot of times when women,
a pimp does not care about your pleasure. Why would that be?
But a pimp knows how to talk to you to get you to do what he wants you to do.
What in the world, Calvin? Okay.
Bars.
Not really.
Bars.
Pimps aren't out here romancing. That's not what's happening.
Sometimes women like to be talked to.
Oh God.
Certain things you can say to a woman that makes her.
I don't know why you associate that with being a pimp.
I just said pimp because I just said pimp. It has nothing to do with nothing. I'm just saying sometimes, a lot of times women talk, but they don't know what they're doing, meaning they don't know how to talk to them and get them in the mood or how to set the mood or do anything.
I don't. I feel like there's this disconnect of what is expected and what is real.
Yes.
And it's ever growing.
That's for everybody.
And it's just ever growing. But anyway, that was a random side conversation. What are your guesses for the ultimatum? Let's bring it back. Who do you think is going to stick together? Who do you think is going to break up?
You already know.
Well, we know that Zaina and JR are broken up.
Maya and Khalib going to stay together because
Mariah, okay. I like how you said Khalib and his name is Caleb.
Whatever. They're going to stay together because they're two dull people.
Calvin thinks they look exactly the same.
They're the same person.
But okay.
So they're going to
stick together
because misery loves misery.
Okay.
And I hope everybody else breaks up.
You know what, Doug, I agree. I consent to that as well. Yes, I hope everybody else broke up, and I hope that Caleb and Mariah worked it out.
I
I
want them to
agree.
break up too.
I mean, well, maybe. Who knows? We'll find out. Well, I'll find out. You're not gonna watch it ever again. Any other shows you're watching?
Never again. I'm gonna check out 90
Last
90 Day.
Resort.
Yeah, 90 days.
It's 90 days. 90 Day Fiance. Yeah, 90 Day Fiance.
90
The Last Resort.
Last Resort. Pretty much is the couples that already been together for some time and been on different other 90 days, and now their relationship at a crossroads. And finally,
they're always at a crossroads.
Exactly. This is the last resort.
Except it's not, because they did that with Big Ed and what's her face.
They're not together anymore.
But they stay together, and then they had a whole other season.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. I thought what's her face and what's the dude that wears hat all the time?
Who we're talking about? Oh, is her name Gina?
Gino.
Jasmine and Gino.
I thought they were broken up already.
Definitely thought so too. But who knows when this was taped?
Yeah, that's true too. So anyway, but yeah, that's all I got.
But seeing, I definitely thought it was Darcy. But seeing Stacy and what's his face?
First of all, I don't know who that is because she never looks the same. So I can understand why he's upset because he doesn't know who he's married to. That lady looks nothing like he looked when they first started talking.
I went back and forth with feeling bad for that man.
She looks nothing like she looks when they got engaged.
Mm-hmm.
She looks nothing like she looks when they got married, and she probably looked nothing like she looked 2 months ago.
Is Darcy going to make an appearance?
Of course she is.
Legend has it Darcy's married to that other guy, the dude that she broke up with, who she was engaged to. Mm-hmm. Whatever his name is.
The dude that
with the black hair
that she should have been with, but she allowed everybody else to
talk her out of being with.
Yeah.
Yes, that one. With the black former fiance, that one.
Yeah.
Legend has it she married him. That's the rumor. I don't know how accurate it is since we didn't get another Darcy Stacy show.
Because they probably don't know.
They were high entertainment.
Because they didn't probably know who Darcy and Stacy was when they came back. They were like, "You're not Darcy and Stacy. Stop, stop."
But anyway, Stacy and her boyfriend, her husband, are going to be in it. Jasmine and Gino, Sophie and what's his face. I'm gonna call him Mr. Black because he likes to turn it up and turn it off when he has a chance.
What?
Sophie is the British.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Girl with the crazy man who lived in a closet.
Dude from LA.
Yes, and he got mad at her because he didn't have an indoor bathroom. Who else? What was the other couples that we saw there? Oh, Calvin's favorite couple, the dude from Ethiopia and his white girlfriend.
Dude and that girl, the big forehead. Stacy.
Yeah, we mentioned him.
Him.
We mentioned Jasmine Gino. Oh,
the Russian girl from Virginia and the dude
who does OnlyFans. He does OnlyFans too.
So why are you mad at her?
Because she does it. Hello, I can do it. You can't do it. Gross.
Okay, she probably had sex with somebody on OnlyFans that you don't know.
He said that she cheated on him, so something happened.
Look at her. I see why she did.
Look at him or look at her?
Look at her.
I'm confused.
First of all, she still had the little Russian accent. I don't know why dudes.
Are you saying she's sexy? That's why she did it? What do you mean by look at her?
Look at her. She probably with it. They still in Virginia somewhere?
Uh-huh.
Okay. She probably was the easiest, the cutest looking one, and with the little accent too. Them dudes around there just trying to wait for him to go to work.
Okay. You're saying she was a walking temptation.
Yeah. They're just waiting for her to go to work. And then she put on weight too.
I thought you were saying she does look good though with the weight, right?
Yeah,
she looks good.
She put on weight.
Because she was tiny.
Yeah.
She was teeny tiny. And she did gain weight, but it's like it's working. Like it fell in all the right places.
Yeah, it's like a triangle.
Yeah, she did good.
So I'm like, with all that going on, and then it's not like she's in the city or in the West Coast. Mm-hmm. She around these little country white dudes.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. And they're ready to give her their undivided attention. I see what you mean. Yeah,
look, don't worry, we'll give you all the green cards you want. Come on.
I see your point. I see your point. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be messy. Did you finish on Mama's Boy? Did you finish that show?
I forgot all about it.
Good. Don't watch it ever again. Okay.
No, I forgot about it because none of the couples are.
It's terrible. That's why.
No, none of the couples are. And I'm sick and tired of the one dude and his mom.
Mm-hmm. You said, eh.
Yeah. So.
Okay. I was still trying to watch Landman. I can't. It's starting to lose me. I'm trying to. I'm at this point. I'm kind of waiting for the season to finish out, and then I'll just watch the rest of it in one go. But it is disheartening. So.
We had another friend, friend of the show who loves Tulsa, with
Tulsa's good. Tulsa King
yeah.
with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. That is a good show.
If I want to have to watch somebody and listen to closed caption and watch the words.
He talks fine.
I'll watch somebody else.
He talks fine.
I ain't got time for that.
Tulsa King was great. Landman though, it's by the same people who did Yellowstone, and I should have known better. So, it's a lot of glorification of the white man and the almighty dollar. So, but whatever. Yeah, I think that's it. And then we have a show on the docket to watch. I want to say Nikki something. It's a Gerald Levert.
Howard.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah.
On Tubi.
Yep, it's on Tubi.
That's gonna be a nice train wreck.
Let's bring back watching black movies on Tubi because.
Oh God.
We were supposed to do it for a certain season, and we completely didn't.
I can't prep because it's hard to prep yourself because you it can't get any worse. And then you see shots.
We should do it for Christmas. We should watch Black Christmas movies. That's gonna be on the docket. We're gonna watch Black Christmas movies and talk and discuss.
I got a headache already.
We watched that one that was pretty good. It was about the family coming back together for Christmas. We watched it like early in the morning one day, and it ended up being decent. Remember? It's like a bunch of brothers, and they all got married to these different women.
Yes.
It was good.
I think we were intoxicated at the time.
You liked it. You were like, this actually wasn't that bad.
I had happy pheromones going through my endorphins going through my system at the time.
Endorphins.
Yeah.
Endorphins. But all right. Anything else?
I was in ecstasy.
What?
When you sit next to me.
Okay.
Ecstasy.